guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the December Q&A. If you're new here, my name is Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, feel free to share, and make sure to subscribe. And make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook where I share new posts every single day. Alright, before I get into it, if you are new here, just to address the elephant in the room, I had double jaw surgery a couple of weeks ago, so that's what's going on here. My mouth and face is still a little bit swollen, still a little bit numb, but I think I can talk pretty well. But anyways, if I'm kind of mumbling or if you're like, what's going on with her mouth? Why is she talking like that? That's the situation. Not much I can do about it except for wait. But anyways, so you guys sent in some questions both on my post on the community tab and also in my private Facebook group. We're gonna go through some of those today. I try to answer them kind of rapid fire. Usually doesn't end up happening that way. I usually end up going on tangents and spending a lot of time on each question, but we'll see how we go. The first question, does the keto diet cause hypoglycemia? Okay, so first off, what's hypoglycemia? Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. And usually, well, there's two types of hypoglycemia. There's reactive and there's non-reactive. Reactive happens when you eat a meal and then your blood sugar drops low, and non-reactive is usually due to some type of medication you're taking. Usually when people talk about hypoglycemia, they're referring to reactive hypoglycemia. Usually it's recommended to eat small portions of carbs throughout the day in order to avoid hypoglycemia. And this is obviously because carbohydrates, when we eat them, they're broken down into glucose or sugar. This causes our blood sugar to rise, and that's the opposite of hypoglycemia. So it's thought that if you are experiencing low blood sugar, eat more carbs, fixes the problem. And this might be a short-term solution, but the reason you are experiencing hypoglycemia is because you have some level of insulin resistance. So this person is asking if the keto diet, which is obviously low in carbs, causes hypoglycemia. And the answer is no, it does not. So if you already have hypoglycemia, then when you first switch to keto, there might be a bit of an adjustment period, but it's eating a high carb diet that actually causes hypoglycemia. So what's happening here is, well, actually, I have a whole video on hypoglycemia, which I will link above up here, so you guys can check that out after if you want to know more. I won't go too much into it, but no, keto doesn't cause hypoglycemia. You have it before, it's a symptom of insulin resistance, and when you start to reverse your insulin resistance and improve your insulin sensitivity, then you won't experience hypoglycemia anymore. And the keto diet, in fact, is great for improving insulin sensitivity. Colin asked, what made you want to start getting into helping people's health? I have a whole video on my channel where I talk about sort of my journey with health, but here is the short version of it. Growing up, like in elementary school and kind of through middle school and into high school, I was always kind of told, not always told, but like some people would say or imply that I was fat. When in reality, like looking back, especially in middle school and stuff, I was just tall, like not fat at all. But anyways, I was always considered to be like the bigger friend, I guess, and especially into high school. And then as I went through high school, I was actually gaining weight. And yeah, I definitely had crossed the threshold into being overweight in high school and the couple years after. Anyways, a few years went by, I ended up losing the weight, but putting it back on, like I was doing a lot of exercise and cycling, and like that helped me lose a lot of weight. But then when I stopped doing that, I was gaining weight, whatnot. Then also through cycling, I started learning about low carb diets because I was doing like a lot of long distances, and I was doing the recommended like carb up before your ride and whatnot, but my energy was always crashing mid-ride, and I was so confused and so frustrated. I'm like, there has to be a better way to eat where you don't have to be eating these gel packs mid-ride or stop and get something to eat. Like, it's just ridiculous. So that's when I started learning about low carb diets and burning fat for energy when you're doing like endurance exercise. And that was just a game changer. Like, I could ride for multiple hours fasted and be totally fine. And besides that, low carb keto diet was helping me to maintain my weight. I wasn't having cravings. I wasn't, like hungry all the time. Before that, I was kind of doing paleo and like whole foods, but I was still having so much fruit, so a lot of sugar, and using like rice malt syrup and maple syrup and whatnot. So I was still very much a sugar burner. So when I cut those out, I just started feeling amazing. Maintaining my weight was easy, improved my athletic performance. And from there, I started my YouTube channel and I started doing like healthy recipes and whatnot. That's what I planned on doing, and never showing my face on YouTube, but here we are. And that got me interested in coaching and teaching other people about the benefits of low carb diets and how beneficial they can be for weight loss, diabetes, insulin resistance, etc. And it's just snowballed from there. Okay, Tabitha asked, is intermittent fasting in the long term bad for a woman's hormones? Should we change up our fasting the week before our periods? Okay, so short answer here is intermittent fasting is not harmful for women and not harmful for hormones as long as you are a healthy body weight or have excess body weight. If you are underweight or on the verge of being underweight, if you're very lean, then that is when you might run into problems with your hormones when you're intermittent fasting. But there have been a few studies I've seen where women fasted for 72 hours and saw no changes to their hormones whatsoever in a negative way, except for the ones who were very lean. So that's just something to consider. If you are already very lean, then might not be the best option, or at least make sure you are eating enough within your feeding window. But for everyone who is a healthy body weight or overweight, no issues. Rob asked, I've also recently been recommended to have jaw surgery. Have you noticed many differences in your sleep and breathing yet? Or is it too early to tell? All right, so I haven't really noticed anything with my sleep just yet, but breathing, definitely. So I didn't even realize that this was something that was like my jaw was impacting. But my surgeon had said to me before, like in one of our consultations, that my nostrils were a little bit pinched and that when we moved my jaws around, they would like open up more. So just a little bit, like it literally like millimeters or a millimeter. But honestly, as soon as I woke up from the surgery, I could tell that it was easier to breathe through my nose. And I didn't really ever think I like struggled to breathe through my nose before then, but I could notice a huge difference. And even like still now, I can notice like it just feels like I can get more air, which is interesting and crazy and very good. I'm not mad about it. In terms of my sleep, I haven't noticed my sleep has improved yet because I've just been so swollen. So it's kind of like uncomfortable to sleep. You have to keep your head elevated for like the first week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And like sleep on your back. So I'm usually someone who rolls around a lot. So it's been like a little bit uncomfortable trying to like stay still. So no improvements to my sleep just yet, but breathing, definitely. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of questions just pretty much on all of my posts asking how my recovery from my jaw surgery is. Right now, I'm just about at the 4-week mark and my swelling has kind of plateaued. It went down really quickly in the first 2 weeks and I was so excited. Everything was like improving nicely. And the last 2 weeks, I've kind of like stalled, which has been a bit frustrating. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad on camera. I mean, like you can tell that my mouth feels very tight, I feel like, and I am still swollen, but I feel more swollen like here and especially on this side, all through my cheek and my chin. And it's just a little bit annoying. I know it can take up until a full year for the swelling to go down completely, but it was just going down so quickly the first 2 weeks that I was getting really excited and I was very happy and I was like, okay, this is going great. And now the last 2 weeks have been a little bit like, okay, come on, like, honestly, it's fine. I'm just a very impatient person. But I have been posting updates about my jaw surgery and my recovery and everything over on my vlog channel. So if you guys don't know, I have a vlog channel where I don't know, I've been doing like my jaw surgery stuff, and I've done a couple other like organizational videos and reading funny comments and things like that over there. So I'll link that above if you want to check it out. I talk more about why I got my surgery as well. I've been getting a lot of questions about that, so you can head over there and that will answer all of your questions. Oh, this question actually just came in. Stephanie said, just wondering what you think of paleo. Sometimes I find keto too hard, especially since I love fruit. So I think that the basis of a healthy diet is eating whole foods as much as possible and eating as little processed food as you can. So that includes meat, seafood, animal products such as eggs. That includes fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds as well. If you are basing your diet around these foods, you're doing a fantastic job and you're going to be healthier than most of the population. Now, I do think keto is particularly beneficial, especially for most people in today's day and age, because most people are insulin resistant and have trouble managing blood sugar. And because so many people are metabolically damaged, reducing carbs does help significantly. Now, with that being said, if you're eating a whole food diet and eating the foods that I mentioned, you are going to be eating significantly less carbs than the standard American diet anyways. So yeah, the standard American diet is based around bread, pastries, like it is so high in carbs, cereals, sugars, juices. There are so many carbs in the standard American diet. So even just cutting out bread and like pastries, bread products alone, whole grains, cut out grains, that is going to reduce your carbs significantly. So I think paleo is great. I think paleo works fantastic for a lot of people, for most people, but if you want to reverse insulin resistance quicker, then reducing carbs further and going keto or low carb will speed up that process. But no, paleo, fantastic. If you're having trouble sticking to keto, stick to whole foods, do a paleo diet. You're still gonna have really great results. Okay, Mike had a couple questions. He asked, how long does it take to become fat adapted? So becoming fat adapted means your body is burning fat for energy efficiently. And most people in modern times are mainly sugar burners and not burning fat efficiently for energy. And this is because, again, our diets are so high in carbs. So because we're eating such high amounts of carbs so frequently throughout the day, carbs are a fast source of energy. Our body can break them down quickly, they enter our bloodstream, and they can be used for energy immediately. Now, the downside here is our body can only store a certain amount of carbohydrates as glycogen for energy for later, and any excess is then stored as body fat. And the problem with this is most people are not active enough to be like burning through the carbs they're eating as fast as they're taking them in. So we're eating all these carbs, they're being stored as fat, and then we're eating more carbs for energy, but then the excess is being stored as fat. So we're just building up all this fat that we can't burn for energy. And the reason we can't burn it is because why would our bodies tap into our fat stores when there is quick energy coming in like all the time? Basically, our fat stores are like our reserve. So you can train your body to burn fat, and you do this by restricting carbohydrates, because if you don't have these carbs coming in all the time, then your body has no choice but to burn fat instead. And this process is known as ketosis. Normal metabolic function, nothing wrong with it at all. And obviously it's super effective for losing weight, but it also has other benefits as well. Back to the question though, how long does it take to become fat adapted? It really depends how metabolically healthy you are when you first start, how active you are, how much energy you're burning daily. For someone who's sedentary, maybe working in an office all the time and a bit overweight, it can take longer. It can take weeks, it can take months. For someone who's very active and metabolically healthy, like again, weeks or months, but maybe 1 or 2 months for someone who's healthy, maybe like 2 to 4 months for someone who is metabolically unhealthy. It really just depends, but sticking to it and being consistent in the beginning is going to speed up the process. And the second question from Mike, which I think is going to be my last question for today, is how much sea salt can I have per day? Now, the thing with salt is that your body excretes any excess it doesn't need. So you cannot overconsume it. And I actually just posted a video on kind of salt and blood pressure and myths about salt and blood pressure a couple of weeks ago, which I will link above. You might find that helpful. But yeah, there is so much misinformation around salt being dangerous, around salt being the cause of high blood pressure. Salt isn't the cause of high blood pressure. It can increase blood pressure when you already have underlying issues that are impacting your blood pressure, but salt isn't the cause. So you really can't consume too much. Most people need about 4,000 milligrams of sodium a day. Some people need up to 8,000 milligrams of sodium a day. So that's a decent amount of salt. So like I said, you really can't overdo it. Your body will just excrete excess through your urine if it doesn't need it. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna wrap this up here. My mouth is actually getting a little bit sore from talking so much. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. If you have a question for the next Q&A, you can leave it down below or watch out for maybe in like 2 or 3 weeks, I do another post asking for questions, but I guess it just makes more sense. If you're watching this now, just leave it down below. I'll try to get to it. If you did enjoy this video, you might also enjoy that video on blood pressure that I mentioned earlier. You can check it out here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can find it here. And if you want to check out my keto diet and carnivore diet coaching programs, you can find them here. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.